shit, yeah, I ball. Yeah, I ball. Zone Beats, boy.
What is up, y'all? Here we are, the first stream for Big Boys Boxing. Welcome everybody, and as usual on my old channel, used to get a few things going, as I'm going to do right now, so bear with me for a minute. Get some sounds on, and I'll go and send out some invites. You know, I thought we were going to have a bit of a quiet weekend for boxing all around today, but this weekend. But it turns out we've actually got a bit on. There's a bit to talk about. So, regulars, I've just dropped you a link in Hangouts, and here we go. Gonna drop a link in the chat for y'all as well if anybody else wants to join. We'll get some discussion going very shortly. There's a link for y'all. Alright, so this weekend we got a local event on in New Zealand. A couple of decent fights on there. We have Lucas Big Daddy Brown is going to be fighting Junior Pati. Could be an interesting fight, but I fully expect Lucas Brown to come away with that win. We also have unbeaten New Zealand champion Hemi Ahio in action against a 435 pounder in Conrad Lamb. So it's going to take a bit of knocking over. He's 4 inches taller and about 200 pounds heavier. So massive task for Hemi Ahio, but I still expect him to win that fight as well. Don Hearn, good to have you in the house, man. Good to see you. Travelled over from Kiwi Box. Bit of a sad situation over there, but a fresh start over here. Everybody who listens to this now and on archive, tell your friends Kiwi Box has moved. Let them know where I'm at now, and yeah, hopefully we can build this channel back up. I'm not too worried about building it back up to where I was, but I'd certainly like to reach that 1,000 subs reasonably quickly, so I can make a little bit of coin off my efforts. I'm just going to do a sound check here. Give me a second. I can, yeah, we're all good. Alright, so, yeah, just waiting for anybody else to join. I've got a couple of regulars that reckon they were going to join, so it shouldn't be too long. We have another decent heavyweight fight on this weekend, believe it or not. I kind of slipped under the radar. I did know about it, but I'd forgotten about it, to be honest. It is Michael Hunter will be fighting Alexander Ustinov in a heavyweight fight, 12 rounds. Apparently, Alexander Ustinov was supposed to be fighting Zhili Zhang, but for whatever reason, he's pulled out, and Michael Hunter stepped in. Michael Hunter, for those of you who don't know, was a very good cruiserweight in the amateurs. He fought Alexander Usyk as a pro and lost in a decision, but it was a competitive fight. Recently, he stopped Martin Bakole, who's a big banger, had a lot of hype around him. So, kudos to Michael Hunter for that win. And I actually expect him to win this fight as well. Alexander Ustinov's, I think he's 41 years old. So, he's coming toward the end of his career. He got beaten by Manuel Char for that WBA regular title. And and I think Michael Hunter's going to be too high a volume to be able to beat him, but we'll see what happens. Could be a very interesting fight. I believe, don't quote me on it, I think it's on the Monte Carlo card. We've also got Kelly Yafai fighting on that card. Got Frank Buglioni fighting on that card. It's a Matchroom card, obviously. Probably be on DAZN for those of you in the States. Oh, sorry, DAZN. And it'll be on Sky in the UK. So, interesting fight there. We also have a light heavyweight fight. Just give me a sec here. I'll find the picture. Where we at? That's a very good fight as well. It's John Pascal and Dmitry Bivol. Very good fight, man. Very good fight. This is on in the States, so it'll be a Sunday afternoon screening for us Kiwi fans. Very good fight. Dmitry Bivol has got a big future ahead of him. I'm looking forward to seeing him in action against a pretty decent opponent in John Pascal. So just give me a second here. I'm just going to check on a couple of things. Just wondering why I haven't got any regulars turn up just yet. Give me a sec here. Make sure I've sent the link. Yeah, I have sent the link. So yeah, what else have we got this weekend? Just bringing up boxing scene here. I saw a few stories this morning, but I've forgotten a few of what was going on. We have someone in the Hangouts.
Okay.
Hey mate, have you got your YouTube volume still on, mate?
Hang on. How's it sound now?
Yeah, good as. Sorted. Marla2243, how you been, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, good man. I've been alright. Yeah.
That's good, man. So, you managed to check out what's going on this weekend with the local event?
No, I've been about lax on it, man.
I'm not actually sure on how anybody can watch it just yet. I will have to do some research on that. But the event's in St. John in Auckland. We've got Hemi Ahio and Junior Pati fighting, and also, we've got Hemi Ahio and Conrad Lamb fighting, and Lucas Brown is fighting Junior Pati as the main event on that card as well. So
Lucas Brown, we'll see what kind of shape he comes in.
Yeah, hoping he actually comes into the fight in proper shape. You know, he didn't look too bad when he fought Julius Long, but as long as he's nothing like the shape he was when he stepped in the ring against Dillian White. Yeah. That was shocking, man.
It was a disappointment,
big time. But yeah, fingers crossed Junior can give him some decent rounds at least. I think he's fairly durable these days. He had a few bad losses earlier on in his career, but he has aspirations these days to try and break into the international scene. So I'm kind of hoping Lucas Brown gets a bit more than he's expecting.
Yeah, got to test him, push him.
Yeah. The other fight on that card, the Hemi Ahio Conrad Lamb fight, I think is going to be interesting simply because there's about a 200-pound weight difference. Conrad Lamb, yeah, Conrad Lamb came into his last fight at 435 pounds. He's 6'4", but he's a huge unit, man. He's 5-1, so he's going to have aspirations himself to try and take that New Zealand title that Hemi has off him. Yeah.
What's the there's a New Zealand fighter. His name has slipped my mind. He went to the Commonwealth Games and got I think a silver medal. He's at cruiserweight at the moment, the white guy. What's his name?
Oh, David Light.
Light, that's it, David Light.
Yeah.
Yeah, is he fighting on Parker's undercard?
Yes, I believe so. He's fighting the number 2 ranked cruiserweight New Zealand. I'll just bring it up so I can have a look at that actually. Give me a sec here. David Light. It looks promising. I watched his last fight. He fought a Fijian lad.
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah.
I don't know, David Light, he looks like he could do with a bit more upper body and head movement. His defense is a bit lackluster, but to this stage he hasn't really fought anybody who he's had to defend too much against. I think this Fijian lad, what was his name, Naliva, gave him a bit of a fright in the second round, landed a good shot on him and sort of staggered him a bit. But he eventually wore Saliva down. David Light's well known for throwing a shitload of punches, so
And crack too, He's got power.
he can. The guy he's fighting is Lenny Bryant, and he's 12-5. So yeah, but apparently, according to the Duco press release that I received, he's the number 2 cruiserweight in New Zealand. So I don't know whether it's actually a step up from his last fight. I think it's probably a slight step down, but yeah, be interesting. Bryant is 5'11.5", so he's a reasonable sized cruiserweight. He doesn't have any huge names on his record at present. Just having a quick look through here, see who his losses to. His last 2 fights were losses, actually.
Yeah, it's a nothing fight, really.
It might be. I can't say.
He's an interesting guy to follow, though,
He is.
David Light, just to see how he goes. Yeah,
I've seen a few interviews on GladRap channel with him, and he's pretty down to earth, humble kind of guy. And he's really putting a lot of effort into his training, so he's putting the right kind of work in. Hopefully he can make a few waves, pick up an international level trainer, and see where he goes.
As you say, he does look a bit stiff.
He does.
The upper body movement. He does need to get some improvement there. Just looking at Lance Bryant, he's had 5 losses, only 1 stoppage.
Yeah, might get some rounds out of him at the very least. So
yeah.
I'm just looking. David Light, he's 6'1.5". No registered reach. The other guy doesn't have a registered reach either, so he's going to have a good 3 inches height advantage anyway. So
yeah, he should. Well, he should beat the guy down. Yeah,
I think he should. Yeah,
go a few rounds and beat him down.
Yeah. Just look at the rest of that card, see what else we've got. We do have Brown Butterbean back in action out of retirement, and he's going to be fighting rugby league star. His name's just left my head all of a sudden. Manu Vatuvai.
Yeah, God.
Could be interesting.
Vatuvai could win that, I think.
He should, but I watched Vatuvai boxing he was on I think it was the Brian Minto Joseph Parker undercard.
He was.
And it was Fight for Life, and he was fighting, was it Eric Murray he fought? Looked pretty scrappy, but to be fair, Eric Murray was doing a lot of holding and getting in close, wailing away, but it's hard to fight against somebody who's that scrappy, if you know what I mean.
It gets you out of their style just upsets you.
throws you out of your rhythm. So
yeah, man.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. God, the corporate boxing's been giving New Zealand boxing a hammering lately, eh?
Well, there's been a couple of deaths, hasn't there? So
the girl died in sparring, and then this other guy's died. But the thing is, the guy that died recently, apparently in sparring, he had to take a few weeks off because he didn't feel right. That in itself,
that's alarm bells, isn't it?
That's alarm bells, mate. I don't know how anyone could have said to him, "Yep, keep doing this." And then he had 2 standing 8 counts, and they let him go in again in the fight. And it's like, mate, when you're a corporate fighter, you've been rocked. They've given him the benefit of the doubt. He's got rocked again. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, that was badly handled, and he's paid the price. But if it keeps happening, New Zealand boxing will pay the price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
unfortunate. That lady who died in sparring, actually grew up in the town that she comes from, and I know her family and whatnot, so it's a bit close to home for my liking, that one. But, it's sad when it happens, but you know, I've said it before, most people, well, everybody who steps into that ring knows the risks.
Oh yeah, mate, that's right. No different to joining the military or being a fireman or whatever you're choosing. It can happen.
It does, unfortunately. It's a sad side of it, but it can happen. But you know, in that situation like you were talking about, if somebody had to take time off because they weren't feeling right, and then they get knocked down twice in a fight and they're still not feeling right, you know, you've got to use a bit of common sense.
Yeah, you know, he should never have been cleared for the fight.
No,
the trainer should have said, mate, if you've got head issues and we're only sparring, there's no way I'm putting you in there. You know,
back to that card, we also have Bowen Morgan, New Zealand super welterweight, who had a cracker of a fight on a Shane Cameron event card that Junior Farr fought on last. He fought Shave Brook. That was the 2 best super welterweights in New Zealand. That was a cracker of a fight. He'll be fighting on that. Yeah, he'll be fighting on that card, and he's fighting a guy, Singh, who's 11-2-1. So I don't know if that's a step up from Shave Brook either, but it's certainly good to see Bowen Morgan trying to get busy. I know he's trying to crack the international scene.
This guy here, Singh, is 11 wins, 7 stoppages, 2 losses, no knockouts.
Yeah.
So he's durable.
Durable, yeah. I can't say I've actually seen him fight myself, so
no, neither.
Can't make too much of an assessment there. But what else have we got on here? We've got not really anything else of note.
The Parker fight, and then that's a non-event, really. Just get it over with. Hopefully it's a non-event. I mean, I want Parker to win, mate, you know, and then get out of New Zealand again.
Yeah. I was talking to McGregor Boxing Stars last night and talking about that event, and I think the main support event is actually a more competitive fight with Junior Farr and Rogelio Umar Rossi. Umar Rossi fought Marco Huck for the cruiserweight title. He got stopped in the 6th round in that fight, but he was quite competitive and aggressive until then, so I think it might be a bit more of a competitive fight than the Parker versus Flores fight. But then again, you know, Flores only has that 1 loss to Charles Martin, but to be fair, he took that fight on 2 weeks' notice at the same time. I've been back and watched what I can of that fight. There's only some highlights up on YouTube, I think, and you know, he wasn't getting an absolute pasting. He was trying to be competitive at the very least and not being right in shape. But you know, it doesn't matter how good you are or how good a shape you are in, your chin doesn't change.
No. So Parker needs to deliver in this fight. You know, he's had enough time for his elbows to be 100%. You know, we got to see something.
We
do. He's got to come in. We got to see head movement, good double jabs. He's got to come forward jabbing. He's got to be vicious on the inside. He's got to let his hands go. He's got to throw combinations, go first with his punches. He's got to be aggressive. You know, I was thinking about Parker, and I feel like he's been trained the wrong way from day one. And the reason is because I could never understand how Barry and that were training him to fight on the back foot from the outside. And it's like, I was like, okay, you can do that against Ruiz, you can do that against Takam because they're smaller fighters. But if you want to be the undisputed champion of the world, you got to beat Joshua, you got to beat Wilder. These are guys, the only way you can beat them's on the inside because you haven't got the reach. You've got to be in there, and you've got to be vicious on the inside. You've got to be letting your hands go. So I felt like when you look back on it, in a way, the way they trained Parker, they set him up for failure.
Yep.
I just don't think they trained him the right way. I just never understood how. And some people would say, "Oh, he's going to fight up on the back foot and let his opponent come to him." But his opponent is only going to come to him if his opponent's got a reach advantage. They're only going to come to Parker close enough that they can hit Parker. They're not going to go so close that he can hit them back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
They're only going to get in so close that they can get within range of him to crack him. They're not going to go right in on him so he can hit him back. He's got to come forward if he wants to hit them. So I just feel like he was trained the wrong way. So it's not too late for the guy. He's only 27, but we got to start seeing something.
Yeah, well, if he's only going to box for another 4 years, he's certainly going to have to develop that inside game. I've been critical of the inside game from Parker for a long time. He's fine when it gets to like mid-range, where he can throw his hands and throw combinations. He's got the skills to, put the punches together, the punch variety to knock a lot of guys out. But not having an inside game is being detrimental in fights where it gets rough, like the Dillian White fight.
Oh, it cost him, eh?
If he had an inside game, he could have done a lot better and possibly been prepared to deal with things like head clashes and.
That's right. I mean, it's physically he hasn't shown enough inside fight. Mentally, he hasn't shown that savagery. Like if that had been Evander Holyfield, he was such a great counter puncher. He wasn't scared to get inside because he'd get inside and get his shots off. Then when his opponents fire back, he'd come back with counters. And you're just not really seeing that from Parker. And he just wasn't mean enough. He should have hit Dillian White in the balls. He should have smashed him in the balls as hard as he could and said, "You're not doing this to me. Well, you're not fouling me like this, man. If you want to take it there, I'll go there with you. We can fight clean if you want to, but if you want to get dirty, I'll do it. Yeah. I'll go there with you."
I remember a statement from him saying, if he wants to make it dirty, I'll punch him in the nuts. And he published that, said it out loud to everybody, but he never came through with it. So
yeah, man.
Yeah.
He talks about beast mode, but he's I don't know, he's like he's got his mum at ringside and they're always humble and respectful, and that's really nice, but there comes a point when you're in the ring and the bell goes, mate, you got to switch it on. You got to become someone else.
Yeah, indeed, man. Totally. So we've got a fight on the weekend that you might be interested in. It's a light heavyweight fight. We've got Dimitri Bivol is going to be fighting John Pascal. You know much about those guys, mate?
No.
Dimitri Bivol is an up-and-coming light heavyweight. I think he's a beast. He's very underrated, but to a degree, he hasn't been tested just yet. So I think John Pascal's a fairly decent test for him. But if we don't know too much about him, we'll move on to something else.
What about the other fight? Usyk. Oh man, he hammered Bellew.
He did indeed, mate.
Jeez, yeah. I thought Bellew would win on. I thought Bellew would lose, but I thought he would have had the durability to go the 12. Usyk just picked him apart, boy. When he finished him, man, did he put him out.
Man, yeah, I think Tony Bellew was doing very well in the first couple of rounds, and I thought, shit, if he can keep this up for 12 rounds, he could win this fight on points, and that's not something anybody would have predicted. But just the way Usyk moves and how he uses range as pressure, his ring IQ is amazing. So it takes it out of a guy after a while. And how professional he was. He didn't panic. He knew he had lost those first couple of rounds, possibly even the third round, but didn't stray from his game plan. He knew his pressure would wear him out, and he got the job done. in spectacular fashion. So he's going to cause a lot of trouble for a lot of guys at heavyweight, I believe.
Yeah, is he coming in about 220 for that?
Well, apparently he was about 215, 218 in the ring against Tony Bellew anyway. So, you know, if he actually eats a bit more pasta like he says and puts on a little bit of weight, we might see him up around 230. But I wouldn't want to see him any heavier than that. He might start losing a bit of speed or losing a bit of stamina due to, you know, muscles eating a bit more oxygen and whatnot. So we'll see what happens, but definitely interesting. I think he's going to be the next opponent for Anthony Joshua, to be honest.
Wow, it would just be interesting how he takes a heavyweight punch.
Well, he's fought heavyweights in the amateurs before. You know,
okay, yeah.
He fought Joe Joyce and cleaned him up in the World Series of Boxing. He cleaned up Junior Farah in the World Series of Boxing as well.
Oh, wow.
He didn't stop them, but
outboxed them.
Outboxed them easily too, easily. So
he looks like he's going to be a threat then.
Yeah, I think he may have trouble against somebody like a Tyson Fury, somebody who can move at least half as well as him and keep it up for 12 rounds. But you know, we've got this fight next weekend between Wilder and Fury that's going to tell us a lot about what Tyson Fury or where he is.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it myself.
Yeah. Hey, it was funny with Bellew. I'd have thought, Bellew is always talking about fighters in the ring when he's a commentator looking sorry for themselves.
Yeah. And then, come round 4 and round 5, I was thinking to myself, geez, Tony Bellew's starting to look a bit sorry for himself.
Yeah, mate. And then he got flattened, and I didn't have any sympathy for him, eh? I didn't, mate. I just thought, man, you know, you talked a lot about other people, man, and here you are on your backside. But, yeah.
To be fair to the guy, though, he was very gracious in defeat.
He was.
So, and he did say, you know, a lot of what pre-fight talk was acting, pretty much. So, you know.
It's just when he was a commentator, though, you know, on the Parker fight, a lot of the fights. Yeah. He's always talking about Parker feeling sorry for himself and all this, and really disrespectful, man.
Indeed.
You know, when you're in a hard fight, how are you supposed to look?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just uncalled for. So to see him, I didn't feel sorry for him.
No, I didn't feel sorry for him either. And to be honest, I'm actually quite happy to see the end of Tony Bellew in the boxing ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is what it is.
Who are you backing for? I'm picking Wilder by stoppage.
Yeah, I'm picking Wilder by stoppage too, but I'm gonna be hoping and rooting for Tyson Fury. I'd like to see him stop Wilder in the late rounds due to accumulation, but you know, you just can't bet against that big right hand, eh?
I know, that's the thing. A lot of people are always saying what Wilder can't do. He hasn't got this skill. He can't do this, can't do that. But what he can do is find an opening for that right hand. Yep. He just seems to have that ability to put it in there. He finds it. And he also doesn't gas out. One thing he does have, I mean, he's got height, reach, he's got the power, and he doesn't gas out. He can go rounds. And you sort of think at some point in this fight, he will find Fury. He'll find that opening to land that punch. Yeah.
And it's an interesting point about Wilder's stamina that I've thought about. He hasn't really been in a high volume fight. Full stop. At elite level at least. So if Tyson Fury's going to be using that, that distance pressure, using his feet, lots of feints. I mean, Tyson Fury puts out, almost hundreds of feints per round. So is that going to throw Wilder's reflexes off and make him move more than he wants to? Is his stamina going to be up to it come the later rounds if that pressure's on him the whole fight? But
I think the Ortiz fight will help Wilder. That would have been a good experience for him.
Oh, yeah.
How many rounds did that go? 8 or 9?
I think it was 11, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it was the 11th round he stopped him in. I'll quickly have a look at that.
I'll tell you what. Just having a look. What have we got here? Luis Ortiz, 10 rounds.
Oh, it was 10th round.
10th round.
Okay.
So that experience will help him. Like, I noticed he's got to pull the trigger Wilder, though. He's got to back himself and throw punches. And when you watch the Vladimir Klitschko fight against Fury, he looked bamboozled.
Yeah.
He just didn't seem to know what to do, and he sort of held back. He wasn't throwing, and Wilder can't fall into that trap. As tricky as Fury is, as slippery as he is, Wilder's got to back himself and try and walk him down and let his hands go.
Yep. Yeah. Indeed. Wilder's been saying we're going to see a lot of things that we haven't seen from him. I'm presuming that's going to mean a big-time body attack, particularly in the earlier rounds. I think that's a good idea for Tyson Fury, for Deontay Wilder. I think it's a superb idea, but whether he actually comes through with it or not, it's going to be a different story. He hasn't been in the ring against somebody who's got a longer reach than him, who can move as well, if not better than him at the same time as well. So, one thing I want to see from Wilder too, I think is really important. It's a good, fast, crisp jab. He's going to need it.
You're going to need a jab, man. I hope he brings that to set up his right hand.
And I think he's going to need to, after he throws a jab, he's usually quite open. And if someone does try to counter, he quite often moves straight backwards and leans back a bit. With a guy who's got longer reach than him and is maybe just about as quick as him, could be a problem. So I'd like to see a bit more lateral movement from Deontay, just to avoid getting countered, because Tyson Fury's going to be trying to counter him all night.
Yeah, so I saw some sparring with Fury, and he looked pretty sharp.
Yeah,
I saw some videos of him sparring. He looked pretty sharp, man. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't count him out in this fight. He's a high skill guy, and he's big. So
yeah. His weight looks pretty good too, His last fight, I think he was 258 against Pianeta. So this camp in particular, he hasn't had to worry about weight whatsoever. It would have been just training for the fight. So I'm wondering what he's going to come in. I think he might come in around 255, somewhere around there. But look a bit more toned than what he was against Pianeta. Obviously, he's still going to have those skin flaps from his big fat gut. But what's underneath it's what's gonna matter. So.
Yeah, man. No, it's going to be a boomer. I'm glad the fight's happening. We've actually been very lucky the last couple of years. Some of these big fights have actually been made.
Yeah.
You had AJ and Vlad. I enjoyed the Parker. Even though the Parker fight got made with Joshua, it didn't go the way we wanted, but at least it happened. Povetkin got to fight AJ. We have seen some big names get in there, and it's been good. Ortiz fought Wilder.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been pretty. It's pretty spoiled, really.
And we've got a lot of these prospects that have got the O's. All of a sudden, have started trying to take on high-level competition as well. So. The start of next year in particular is looking pretty damn good. We've got what have we got in order? I've got them in order on my pictures here. We've got the first one is we've got Adam Kalnacki. He's going to be fighting Gerald Washington in January.
Yep,
that's a good fight. We've got Ajit Kabayel is going to be fighting Otto Wallen, so that's another goodie. Who else have we got? We've got Michael Hunter fighting Alexander Ustinov this weekend as well, by the way, if you didn't know that one. That's a decent fight. Do you know Michael Hunter?
Not off the top of my head. Hang on.
He's just beaten Martin Bakole last month, or start of the month. Martin Bakole was a big time hype job.
Yeah. 15. I'm looking at Michael Hunter. 15, doing 10 KOs. Yeah.
One loss to Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight.
Yeah.
And that fight was competitive. So,
he's fighting Alexander Ustinov, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, decent fight.
Lost to Usyk. Yeah, geez. He's not bad.
So there's a few of these guys have decided going to stop padding their record and they're going to step up. So, you know, we saw Bogdan Dinu finally step up as well against Jarrell Miller. And did you see that fight?
No, I haven't watched that yet. Is it on YouTube? Someone uploaded it?
I'm not sure, but if you can't find it, I've got a copy of it I can email to you.
Oh, yeah, thanks, man. You could do that. Good, man. But, yeah, Jarrell, he's no excuses for Jarrell now. He's got that fight out of the way. It's like, come on, mate. We need a top 10 opponent for you.
I think he's going to end up fighting Trevor Bryant next. Trevor Bryant's got that WBA interim title at present. I think he's ranked number 2 with the WBA, so it's a fight that they've had a bit of beef for a while since they had a sparring session a few years ago. I don't think too much of Trevor Bryant myself. I liken him somewhat to Bryant Jennings, if you know what I mean. He can box pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't have a huge punch, but he can box and move pretty well. I don't think that's going to be enough against a big bulldozer like Jarrell Miller, but we'll see what happens.
I'd love to see Jarrell fight AJ. I know a lot of people don't want to see it. I do, because like he can take a shot. He's a big guy. He's like 6'4". You know, he's got a decent reach. I think it's about 78 inches. He's got stamina. He can go rounds. He can keep throwing punches and just bore in. And he's got a good in. And it would be I would find it an interesting fight.
Yeah, man, it would be.
You know, he just that pressure he can put on. A lot of fighters don't like it.
Yeah. Like
you're hitting him, but you just can't back him off. He just keeps coming. That can be psychologically really stressing for a fighter.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the fight against Dinu, I think it was in the second round. He got a overhand right landed on him, and it did seem to stop him momentarily. He looked dazed, and Dinu was like stood there looking at him. I was screaming at the TV, go, "Fucking hit him!"
Yeah, let him off the hook.
On him, but yeah, let him off the hook. But it only took Jarrell like 10, maybe 8 seconds before he's turned around, head down, back into it. Away we go.
Right. Yeah.
But if he had got jumped on right then, it could have been all over. Maybe. Is at 315 pounds, it takes a lot.
Oh, that's big. I just looked at his weight there. Yeah. God, I'd love to see him at 285 or something.
Yeah, well, he was down to 270 at one stage, and he was starting to look really good. I think that was against Jarrell Miller. He was looking almost a little bit cut, and saying that for Miller is, that's being real nice. So, I don't know, man.
He just hasn't got that. Might not have the work ethic.
Yeah.
Doesn't have
too many cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
But,
hey, did Miller call out Dave Allen?
He did mention his name. He said his next fight, he wants a Dillian Whyte, a Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua, even a Dave Allen. He just wants to fight somebody in Britain. So,
yeah. Hey, is Chisora fighting Dillian Whyte?
Yep, 22nd of December.
Man, that
rematch.
Oh, that will be wild. That's high risk. That's high risk for Dillian Whyte, eh?
It is indeed. I think he's pretty confident, though. And it could be even more dangerous considering the fact that Derek Chisora is on a high after that knockout win over Carlos Takam.
Yeah.
So, Derek Chisora with confidence can be pretty damn dangerous, man.
Because that, Chisora he's so durable. He's such a tough guy. And, I mean, Dillian's going to have to be ready for 12 rounds again. He can't gas like he did against Parker.
No.
He'll get put out,
He will. Oh, that's probably pretty much Derek Chisora's game plan, is try and use a lot of pressure for the first half of the fight. Kind of like he did against Takam. Because Takam did start gassing, and that's why he got caught. So...
Yeah, I had Takam... I had it when that fight was playing out exactly how I thought it was going, and then boom.
Yeah, it was like out of the blue. A lot of people are calling it a fluke punch, but I don't think that. No, it's not a fluke. It was something that Derek Chisora was working towards the whole time. So, Well done, Derek. We have another couple of fights on that card. I've heard it's not confirmed yet, but David Price is going to be fighting Tom Little. I don't know if you know much about Tom Little. He's domestic level fighter. in Britain, but he's pretty tough. Could be a competitive fight for David Price, but
David Price, my God.
yeah,
he just. I'm amazed the guy sticks around.
Yeah,
like he's a lot of heart, brave guy, but geez,
that chin. I'm surprised that hasn't been smashed to bits yet.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Sporting, the link won't let him on.
Oh.
Sporting Icons.
Have you checked Hangouts, Sporting? I've sent one in a chat that I've included you on Hangouts. I'll try send it to you individually again and see if it'll work for you. Give me a sec here.
Yeah, that fight with Gerald Washington, if he can fight with some confidence and come in shape, he could win that, eh?
I think so, man. I saw his last fight was against John Wesley No Fire, and he's taken on a new coach. I can't remember. John David Jackson. He's taken on as a coach, and yeah, he's got a lot more aggression and confidence. So we'll see what happens. I've just sent you an invite on Hangouts Sporting Icons. Hopefully you'll be able to join once that invite's sent. Maybe
yeah, because you think with Washington, like he's fought Deontay Wilder, those sort of fights should help him. Having faced Deontay and then coming down to sort of a guy, it should help.
Yeah, Jarrell Miller, he looked broken before he fought Jarrell. Just from the lead up to the fight, he looked embarrassed and intimidated. So I hope he's gotten on top of that sort of thing. But I think it's a good fight. Adam Kownacki is a come forward guy. He seems to have a bit of a chin, but if Washington can have some confidence in himself, I think he could do some real damage to Adam Kownacki. Possibly outbox him.
The fight Kownacki had with Charles Martin was actually a good one.
It was a great fight, and I think it's
a good fight to watch.
Gave Charles Martin a bit more credibility back. Not so many people are laughing at him anymore.
Yeah, no, he was good. He had heart in that fight, man. He fought well.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm just trying to send an email to Sporting to try and get him able to join. Alright, I've just sent you an email, Sporting, with the link in it. Maybe it'll work that way. If it doesn't work for you.
God, I hadn't talked to you about Hughie Fury. God, he was a disappointment, man.
You did watch that fight then, I take it?
Oh, yeah. That was just so... I thought to myself, he's going to have learnt from the Parker fight, done a lot of work. He's going to bring all the movement and the jab, but he's going to bring a solid right hand. He's going to bring more. He had no right hand. He landed one good right hand during the fight, but that was it. His right hand, the way I can't believe how bad his technique is at throwing it. His father's a good trainer. You think he would have got on top of that. And he doesn't have a good left hook to come back with after he's thrown his right hand. He's just so... He got shown up to be so one-dimensional in that fight. He just whips out the jab and that's all he has. Even his stamina was crap.
Well, he didn't even use his jab to full effect in that fight.
No, it was terrible. It was a terrible performance, man. I couldn't believe it. How bad it was.
It's a big case of feeling sorry for himself, I reckon. As soon as that cut opened up, he was like, I think Peter had told him you better go for the knockout. And as soon as he started trying to knock Pulev out, he looked even worse. So,
yeah, I was really disappointed. I was expecting a lot more, eh?
Yeah.
But where does he go from here now? It's sort of he's really taken a dent. His reputation's been hit pretty hard.
Yeah, he's been ordered to fight Joe Joyce though for the British title. Do you think it's a fight that he'd be interested in, or do you think he needs to take a step back and pad himself up again?
Yeah, oh man, that's an interesting one. They wonder if they'll back themselves to beat Joe Joyce because he's not that quick. I think Joe Joyce might just back him into a corner and pummel him. Even though he's not that fast, Joe Joyce, just back him up because he's a big man, Joe Joyce. use his physicality just to back Huey up and then just try and bust him up on the ropes.
Yeah, hard out. Just reading some messages. See if we can get Sporting in here. Okay, Sporting's had some issues since updating. That sucked. I was hoping we might get some regulars in here.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe McGregor or Double A Boxing was going to join, but it's pretty late over there, so maybe they've gone to bed. Sporting's up though. It's all good. It's all good. By the way, peoples, if you haven't already, make sure you tell your mates to come and check out KiwiBox. I'd like to get my subs back up to 1,000 so I can open up some more options on YouTube. I know it's going to take a while starting again, but yeah, we'll get there.
Disappointing about your channel. Gee, you put so much work in.
Yeah, I can have another go at applying for another review in December, but you know, there's nothing else I can do in the way of jumping through hoops to try and correct the issues. You know, I made some mistakes earlier on, but I haven't done anything for a long time, and they're still holding it against me, so
yeah,
not much I can do about it, man. That is what it is.
Hey, what do you think Pulev's going to do? Do you think he'll ever fight Joshua? Just looking at the rankings, he's got that #1 spot. We'll have to fight him at some point, you'd think.
Yeah, well, he's got the mandatory position, you know.
Yeah.
So the WBO is first in line with the mandatory schedule, which is kind of unusual considering they don't have an appointed mandatory as yet. You know, I've said it a few times. I think the WBO have been sitting, or they're going to sit and wait until like December or end of December and see what if Usyk wants that mandatory position for them, because all he has to do is request it, and he's got it. Being a super champion, and he can get that fight in April against AJ. But if the WBO grants AJ a exemption, I expect we're going to hear from the IBF and say, hang on, wait a minute, you're next in line, but the mandatory is due. If you're not going to order your mandatory, we're going to order ours. So if Eddie Hearn tries to get an exemption and the WBO give it, I'm expecting the IBF to go, hang on, you can fight your mandatory for us then. So Pulev could end up being the April 13th fight, but I'm expecting Usyk or possibly Dillian White to be appointed mandatory if Usyk doesn't want it.
Right, yeah.
And then Pulev possibly fighting AJ in September or somewhere there. Depending on whether this unification ever happens or not.
Yeah, it's a shame that no one really wants to see the Pulev fight. You know, it's not really a crowd pleaser. No. I guess Pulev's not exactly the most exciting fighter these days, is he? No.
I think that's a big factor in why nobody really wants to see it. I don't think anybody really thinks Pulev's actually a bum or anything like that. But,
no, just style, eh? It's just... Yeah. See how Junior Far's ranked 10th with the WBO.
Yep.
Be interesting, you know, how he had that you're lacking iron.
Yeah, he also had a minor gut surgery as well. I think all these issues propped up once he started losing that shitload of weight that he lost. So it took a bit for his body to get used to it, and you know, he didn't understand what his body was doing once he lost that weight. So apparently now it's all sorted out. We're gonna find out come December 15th. But hopefully he can back up his talk and actually put on a performance, because it was so concerning watching what he'd been doing. Yeah.
God, he looked terrible. He just looked so lethargic and one-dimensional. He just had no gas in the tank, eh?
Yeah, big time. You know, he's been in camp with Deontay Wilder preparing for Tyson Fury, so that's going to be some huge experience gains for him. Not only with Deontay, there's been other fighters involved with that camp as well. You know, Malik Scott, Lenore Thomas, I did see a photo. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know, Malik Scott's been in camp with Junior Fa before his last fight as well, so he's getting some good experience in different camps. Hopefully, it can translate into the ring.
Yeah. Well, he's got skill. I mean, he did well against Parker in the amateurs, so he's obviously there's some ability there.
Oh, definitely. He's just, you know, totally different style to Parker. He's the guy who likes to keep it long, and you know, he's better at fighting the guys who are smaller than him. But yeah, this Rogelio Omar Rossi, I think he's actually the same height, even though he used to be a cruiserweight.
Oh, yeah.
Might even be an inch taller. Let's have a look.
Yeah, 15 fights, Junior. Jeez. What have we got here? Yeah, he's taller, apparently. 6'6.5", and Far's listed as 6'5".
Yeah. So there you go. Be interesting. Somebody who's actually the same height as him. He certainly won't be the same weight, I don't imagine. Since you've got it up, what was Rogelio Omar Rossi's last fight weight?
Let's see. 214.
Okay. Yes.
No, yeah. Actually, he fought Fernandez, so 214 would be his weight, is it?
It's probably his opponent's weight. If you click on his opponent, it'll show Rossi's last weight.
Hang on, Fernandez. Oh, Fernandez is the fatty. Sorry. So no, it'll be. Hang on. Yeah, he must have been 214 or something.
Okay, yeah, that's
for Rossi, that'd be right.
Yeah, that sounds about right for an ex-cruiserweight. So it might come in a slightly heavier, maybe, considering he's moved up to heavy and he's been there for a little bit now. So he'd be training for a heavyweight. You wouldn't want to be in more than 20 or 30 pounds lighter than Farah, I imagine. Especially at being 6'6". Geez, he must be a twig.
Well, I mean, the heaviest he's weighed, I can see on his record, is 216.5.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's going to be quite a slim dude for that height.
Yeah, needs some pasta.
Yeah, right.
I'd guess. Interesting. Alrighty, man. So, is there anything else you'd like to cover while we're here? What you'd like to talk about?
Can't think of anything. What's Charlo up to? You've been following Jamal Charlo? Any fights coming up?
I'll have a look, actually. Which one do you mean? The bigger one or the smaller one?
I think it's the bigger one, Jamal, I think it is.
Yeah.
Jamal. Jamal and Jamal, is it?
Jamal and Jamil. Those parents had issues, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I want to see him step up. I'm just excited about him. Just Jamal.
Yeah, he's at 160. Jamal.
Willie Monroe Jr.
Oh, Willie Monroe Jr.
Fighting.
That's not a step up.
No, I know.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, he's a guy I want to see step up. He's got my interest, you know.
I wouldn't mind seeing his little brother, Jamil, fight. What's that guy's name? Jaime Munguia. That'd be a good bang session. But I think Munguia's probably going to move up to 160. So probably not going to happen.
Oh, I see. Jamie, is it? Jamie Munguia? Yeah.
Yeah, or they say Jaime because he's a Mexican.
Oh.
Yeah. But he's a beast, man. He's only a young fella, but he's got no defense. Throws shitloads of punches, takes heaps of punches, and he can bang. But he's huge. He's probably more like a light heavyweight.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like Jared Hurd style, you know?
Yeah. I'm just looking at the rankings here, looking at Jamal Charlo. He's ranked very high with the WBC for that Saul Alvarez, who's the champion. That'd be an exciting fight, or to see him fight. I wonder if Golovkin would fight Charlo.
I think it's probably more likely than Canelo at this stage. But who knows if there's enough money in it. Canelo will fight anybody, I think. It's just got to be enough money in it for him. But yeah, Triple G needs something decent, but he needs to build himself up a little bit more again after that loss, I think.
If he lost another one, 2 in a row at his age,
she all
put
over.
him in a bad spot. Yeah, be all over for him, man.
Yeah.
But I want to see Charlo step up, though. He looks promising. You never know till they get in the ring, obviously, against the big boys what's going to happen. But he's showing enough to, get my interest anyway.
He holds a belt too, doesn't he, at the moment? I think he's holding a belt. He's holding one at least. So, yeah, he's got to be fighting decent level competition. There's no hiding anymore once you've got a belt.
Yeah, he's the interim for the interim World Boxing Council World Middleweight title.
Oh, it's the interim title he's got, not one of the big titles.
Okay. He's 28 years old, eh? He's 27 fights, 21 stoppages, 28 years of age. It's time to move, eh?
Yeah, got to keep moving. In those bit smaller weight divisions, your career is shorter. So, he's got maybe another 6 years before people are going to say he's past it. So,
Sporting Icon said that the WBC ordered Charlo versus Triple G, but then Charlo signed to fight Monroe. That's a shame. Jeez,
it's dumb.
It is. It is dumb. I mean, damn. At some point, you got to back yourself and get in there, man. Triple G. He didn't look awe-inspiring against Canelo. Canelo actually backed Triple G up. He had him. Triple G was normally the aggressive come-forward fighter, and he didn't really show that as much as you were expecting against Canelo.
Charlo will be justifying his fight against Willie Monroe because Willie Monroe's ranked number 5 of the WBC. But that ranking is horse shit too. I don't think he's anywhere near number 5. He's got to be outside the top 10 for me. But that's what
Willie Monroe, I'm just looking at his record. Willie Monroe, 23, 6 stoppages, 3 losses, 1 KO. That's poor from Charlo.
I would rather have seen Charlo fight. If he didn't want to fight Golovkin, maybe he could have fought David Lemieux or someone like that. A decent level, proven fighter at elite level.
Yeah. No, that's very disappointing, man, from Charlo, I have to say.
Even a Martin Murray would have been better.
He's taken the easiest option he could, eh?
Yeah.
When you look at the rankings.
It seems that way. But, it is what it is. We can't complain, man. We'll just have to grit and bear it. We went through a stage of that with heavyweights as well. Who should be fighting who? Yeah. They're finally starting to fight each other, so I guess...
Because they have to, eh?
Yeah.
They just run out of room. They can't run anymore. They've just simply got a front.
It'll happen at 160 sooner or later as well. Middleweight, so we'll see. Hopefully, we're not going to have to wait more than a year before we start seeing both of the Charlos step into the ring and stop talking the game and start walking the game.
Yeah. I had a question in the chat from Krista Green. All uploads on this channel from now on, Mr. Kiwi.
All uploads?
Yep. Must be for your videos.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Sweet as. Still be trying to squeeze in a couple of streams a week, but they upload to archive as well. But yeah, I'll be trying to get a bit more into it. I'll have to get a bit more busy to build the channel back up. Had a tough time when I first started with the other one, and I assume it's going to be the same again. So, it's all good.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a bit easier because everyone who's all the regulars, you still have Kiwi Box will still be up, won't it?
Yeah.
You just leave messages on there directing people through to this one. It shouldn't take that long. The word should spread around pretty quick, really.
Yeah. A lot of people know who I am these days anyway, so it's all good. Everybody, subscribe.
Oh, you got 59 already.
Yeah, it's not bad for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Sweet as. All right, man. I think we'll probably start winding it up there, and We look forward to the fights this weekend. Remember, we've got Dimitri Bivol fighting John Pascal. We've got Alexander Ustinov versus Michael Hunter. It's a good fight. We've got Frank Buglioni's fighting. We've got Califari's fighting there on the Monte Carlo card. And the local event in New Zealand, we've got Lucas Brown, Junior Putty, and Hemi Ahio versus Conrad Lamb. So enjoy the boxing over the weekend. And
yeah, man. Sweet.
We'll get back into it again next week. So this is.
You're doing a pod every week?
Yeah, man. I'll try and do one on Monday mornings and maybe a Thursday morning.
Mondays and Thursdays are better for me. I'm here.
Sweet. And,
Sweet.
I'll probably try and squeeze in a Friday night stream once a month, so it's more convenient for all the Kiwis, you know. So
yeah,
we'll get into that and go from there.
Cool, man.
All right. Thank you very much for joining me, Marla. Would have been lonely by myself today, but
no worries, mate.
A few tech issues. Thanks for trying sporting, and everybody else in the chat. Thanks for turning up. Appreciate your company. Don't forget to tell your mates. Come and check out Big Boys Boxing. All right, that's us.
Right. See you, Jono.
See you.